Welcome, beautiful friends, to our One Who Wakes dialogue on being reminded. People sometimes call me a teacher. I'm a reminderer. That's what I am. I can't teach you what you are. You are what you are. You are what you were created to be. I'm a reminderer. That's all I am. Just because I walked a couple of those steps, I can remind and sometimes point out when we're not aware, but I can't teach you what you already are. That one's already taken. The Creator created us all. So welcome tonight. Awakening is simply about being reminded. And the pathways of the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery, Yeshua talks about God as mind with a capital M. And that we, in our individual minds that we say, my mind that thinks, is a lowercase m. So he's describing the kingdom of heaven as capital M mind, the mind of God, the creative source. You could also call it your Buddha nature. You could call it the Tao. You can call it the void. You can call it all that is. You can call it creative source. Whatever works for you, feel free to translate it. But we're going to use the function of mind tonight to represent the mind of God. So awakening is when we shift from little identification with the little mind that thinks it thinks and thinks it's a body to one with the source, the big M mind. But to get us started tonight, a beautiful friend of mine from Australia, Linda Gardner. She wrote a song, the one song that I know that she's written and produced. It's called Don't Fear, and we'll start there tonight. You ready?
Don't be afraid now, I'm by your side. So don't be afraid of the dark, 'cause love is real. Only love is real. Don't be afraid now, I've got your hand. I've got your hand in mine. You're not alone now, I am your guide. So you're not alone anymore. The door is open, come with me. Your willingness, it was the key. We are awake and we are free. Don't be afraid now, you're in the light. You're in the mind of God. You are so loved, but you always were. You are the light of God. Let us remember who we are. The love God gave is what we are. Let us remember who we are. the holy child of God. We are the Christ, the holy love of God. There is one light, there is one life, there is one heart. There is one light, there is one life, there is one. I am the light, I am the holy child of God. I am the Christ, I am the holy love of God. And there is one light, there is one life, there is one love. There is one light, there is one light, there is the holy child. So don't be afraid now, I'm by your side.
Beautiful. Thank you, Linda, for letting us use your beautiful song. Ready, Cindy? Before you get started, there's some new people here tonight. You are free to like what I have to say or not like it. Please don't adopt what I have to say as your truth. Your truth is your truth. If what I share with you works, use it. If not, throw it out and go find what does work for you. I'm not by any means claiming to be the know-all, end-all, be-all in terms of what I'm going to share tonight. Whoops, I went too far. You guys sneak peeked. So like it or not, it's up to you. Ready, Cindy?
Mm-hmm. Awakening is only remembrance. It is but a remembrance, not just of the intellect, for it is not an idea as you would understand idea. It is an idea that vibrates through the whole field of your beingness, so that even the cells of the body, yet while the body remains coalesced together in its present form, even the cells of the body awaken and relax into the truth that is true always.
So just like the symbol of sleeping at night, you can have all kinds of dreams, but you awaken back to what you were before the dream. An awakening is a simple return of awareness to what we've always been. So much energy goes into spiritual paths, especially, of course, in miracles, about studying and learning. Well, there's a place for that on every pathway, but that reinforces that I'm not already what I am, and I have to learn what that is. And we put extraordinary amount of energy into learning. Well, that kind of diverts your path into a non-productive direction. A little bit of learning is fine. Like you can do the Course in Miracles once. You don't have to do it 25 years in a row. It's not about an intellectual study. What the Course in Miracles or the Bhagavad Gita or every other spiritual pathway are trying to do is to get your intellect smart enough to know its utter stupidity. The highest expression of the human intellect is I can't know God. I can't know the infinite within my finite mind. When a thinking mind, little m mind, reaches that point, there's great, great opportunity for illumination, for enlightenment to come show you what you are in truth. So all this trying to figure it out is all distraction and delay. But it's about simply remembering. So that must mean the truth is always present. It means it has never left your awareness. It's just not in your conscious awareness right now. We've buried it out of our conscious awareness so that we could have this experience effectively. I mean, if you knew all along you were invulnerable, you couldn't really authentically experience fear. And it's been a pretty cool experience. But we never have lost the truth of what we are. And most of Yeshua's teachings start top down. I'm the child of God. A lot of teachings get us at the basement that we got this, seems like a really long journey of soul to become like God. You can get there either way, but I would suggest the top-down approach. It's a very short journey from the beginning and the end is the same thing. So tonight, I'm going to use the symbol of a computer to be the mind of God. Now, before someone sends me an email, I am not saying God is a computer. There is some energy out there that this is all like a computer hologram on some hacker's computer, that this whole experience is happening. But I'm just going to use the symbol of a computer for the mind of God or creative source. But simply imagine that that computer is absolutely unlimited. It has infinite computing power, absolutely unlimited. It has no boundaries whatsoever. And it doesn't have a physical form. The mind of God isn't contained within a body like the brain that we think we are. So on the left, we, as body minds, have a choice. We can choose between fear, which is the top one, or love, which is the bottom one. We're the programmer. What you put in, what program you install on the computer very faithfully runs until you decide to install a new program. So each and every one of us, in the mind of God, effectively loaded the, I'm going to be a male or female in 20th century time and space. And that mind of God, ask and you shall receive, we have all experienced exactly what we put into the program. So as our process of awakening, we start changing from I'm this body to what am I in truth? What is my eternal nature? And we start to get feedback that tells us that's the case. So the program feeds the computer feeds back experience, and it really does it very, very effectively. I mean, a computer doesn't run a program that you haven't installed on it. But just as a simple exercise, we're going to try and see how simple this process really is. So if you were to ask right now, because you're the programmer, if you say, I want to think the 5 most horrifically nasty fear-based thoughts I can, just close your eyes and ask for the 5 worst thoughts you can imagine. Well, you're free to say no if you want. So now, ask for or think of the 5 most gloriously high thoughts, whatever you can imagine, are the highest, happiest, most joyful thoughts you can think. So ask and ye shall receive. On the most simple fundamental level, even on the level of thought, it works this way. And every one of us are capable at any point, 24 hours a day, deciding to think only those highest thoughts rather than the nasty ones. If we're conscious of it, we're free to think anything that we want to think. The mind of God, the computer will run any program you've put in it. So when we put in install in the program, I'm going to be a body mind in time and space, everything that starts to create our experience starts to populate that we're a body in time and space. The magic is when you start to allow and ask beyond the body mind. So for instance, when Yeshua said, I and the Father are one, all of a sudden he was installing a new program that was pushing back to him very different experience than he had as a body mind or as an ego. So we're just going to use this symbol. God's not a computer, but there's an infinite creative source out there that is fulfilling our deepest desire all the time. And the deepest desire on the level of soul, that's not necessarily your thinking minds.
Salvation is the recognition that the truth is true and nothing else is true. This you have heard before, but may not yet accept both parts of it. Without the first, the second has no meaning, but without the second, is the first no longer true? Truth cannot have an opposite. This cannot be too often said and thought about, for what is not true is true as well as what is true, then part of truth is false, and truth has lost its meaning. Nothing but the truth is true, and what is false is false. This is the simplest of distinctions, yet the most obscure, but not because it is a difficult distinction to perceive. It is concealed behind a vast array of choices that do not appear to be entirely your own, and thus the truth appears to have some aspects that belie consistency, but do not seem to be but contradictions introduced by you. As God created you, you must remain unchangeable, with transitory states by definition false, and that includes all shifts in feeling, alterations in condition of the body and the mind, in all awareness and in all response. This is the all-inclusiveness which sets the truth apart from falsehood, and the false kept separate from the truth as what it is.
So we're going to focus on this last paragraph. As God created you, you remain unchangeable. So if we go back to our symbol of the computer can run an infinite number of programs, but it's never changed by a program that's run on it. You can simply uninstall one and install a new one, and the computer just goes about running the new program. So the computer itself does never change. It's the stuff that we put into the computer that then creates experience that spits back out, our desire fed into the mind of God and experience that spits back out, that changes all over the place, changes wildly from happy to sad. And we get caught up in identification with all that stuff that changes. But in truth, we are one with the computer. We're that which never changes. It's called pure awareness, it's called the ground of being, it's called all kinds of things. But we're caught up in the program that we're running called Garnett, or called Marion, or called John Mark, rather than this infinite field of intelligence which is creating infinite variety of experiences. So if it changes, it is not true. If it can change, it is not true. And I mean true with a capital T. So one day you feel happy, the next day you feel sad. You might say, it's true I was happy and it's true I was sad. Well, the ego may have been happy or sad, but you are transcendent of that. You're that field in which this experience is arising. You're this infinite mind of God within which experiences seem to arise. And this is another place we get trapped on our spiritual path. We start chasing mystical experiences or high experiences or ecstasy or whatever, and that's still missing the point. The truth of you is always present. Any experience that you're having has to be being generated within the mind of God, the omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient mind of God, which is everywhere and every when. But we get caught up thinking we're this little program that's running that's having all these variations, and that tends to be your mind. Is your state of being not driven by your thoughts? I mean, can you be angry without thinking? Isn't it a thought that comes that says, oh, they embarrassed me, and then anger arises as a result? So we get so identified with those things which change, and then we put all our energy into trying to get them to change in just the way that we want them to so we'll be happy. All of that is missing the point. All the while we're doing all that, the truth that is true always, truth with a capital T, mind with a capital M, is always present. Theoretically, the computer. So we're really this infinite mind of God which creates infinite realms of experience, But we've gotten identified with one tiny little expression, one tiny little program that seems to be running in the background, and we've said, I am that. I am this body. I am this little tiny life. Because the mind of God is, by the way, running all of creation. And we are one with that. So if it's a state that comes and goes, by its very nature that it arises and passes away, it's not truth. But there's something mysterious, present, which all experiences arise, shine in time and space for a moment, and then pass away. We're that field, or the computer in this case. And that's the all-inclusiveness that sets truth apart from falsehood. Truth is unchanging and unchangeable forever. Period. And it has to be present. The unchanging has to be present for there to seem to be change. The computer has to be present for there seem to be programs that can run on them. Most of the people get on a spiritual path because they want to upgrade their program. They want more money, they want more joy, they want more health, they want more of something or less of something. So they start trying to tweak the program. And you're free to do that. It's okay. Yeshua in the Course in Miracles calls that the happy dream. If you're thinking shitty thoughts 24/7, you can, with diligence and vigilance, turn to and begin to think happy thoughts. And your experience will change. I mean, there's all kinds of energy in this world about your thoughts create your experience. So cool, you're welcome to go from an unhappy dream to a happy dream, from a sick dream to a healthy dream. Absolutely fine. But that's still missing the point of enlightenment. You'll still be in fear that the things that you now have that are making you happy, oops, what if those were to go away? Then all of a sudden you're having to upgrade again. Which is this whole idea that we're kind of climbing some infinite ladder of consciousness, which is all bunk. But you can play it that way. The whole thing is when your identity shifts from the things that move to the one thing that never changes. And it's present in everyone's consciousness right now because God's all that is, so there can't be anywhere that it's not. So when you get off of trying to upgrade yourself, which is fine, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, and you really start to look within for the truth that is true always, you will find it. If you look honestly, if you knock, it's going to be shown to you because it's the truth of what you are. Nobody's going to hold it out and say, oh, no, you can't see it. Unless, of course, you're running a program which says, I'm not worthy to see the truth that I am. Then it will appear to be held out because we're all writing our little programs however we wish. But Yeshua's got a couple of channelings that he's done through Paul Tuttle that are going to kind of speak to this, that we're mind and all mind.
If you hadn't turned from the altar and spirit had not been turned into matter, apparently, and eternity had not been changed into time and space, all you would have had to do would be to shift your attention from earth to moon, and you would be there because it's all in you. Earth, moon, planets, stars, galaxies are all resident in the mind that you are, because mind is the ground of your being. The body is not the ground of your being. You are observing everything with your mind even now while you think you are viewing it from your body. The minute spirit was translated into matter, you all became subject to what you subsequently decided were the laws of matter, which you call physics and call a science. But at this moment, none of you are bound by those laws because those laws are imaginary. And force is not needed to get from here to there, whether it's from home to work or from Earth to the moon. I bring this out so that you will not give as much credibility to the laws of physics, and so that you might come to understand the power of mind, which involves no force whatsoever. It takes no energy to shift your attention from one idea to another, does it? Likewise, it takes no energy or force to be present, intimately present, with the surface of the moon, and then instantaneously present with the surface of the earth. Because the only thing that has to shift is attention, not matter. There isn't anything but mind. And that is why I keep saying that everything you're seeing is an idea in the mind of God, and that all ideas are perfectly tangible and experienceable to the mind which formed them. But just because they are tangible to the mind that forms them doesn't mean they're matter. They are pure spirit. What you're experiencing right there as your body at this moment is not the ultimate truth. Your perception and experience of it is flawed by the fact that you are not giving your attention to it with God, so that God might reveal to you what he is being right there. No miscreation ever becomes real. You see what you believe, but the corker of it is that you believe what you see. That locks you in until you have the curiosity to see what it really is. It will take something to distract you from the conviction of your belief. And what it will take is curiosity. All the time, reality, unperturbed by all of these imaginings, awaits your discovery of it as it is. When you're looking at the altar, its illumination illuminates you and renders your committed beliefs invalid effortlessly. And once they are seen as invalid, they are seen as not useful. And none of you holds on to anything that you don't find useful. It is abandoned effortlessly. Be aware that you see what you believe. So indeed, you must dare to look at whatever the dis-ease is and recognize and be willing to recognize that it is an illusion caused by seeing what you have believed in your mind first and then believing the result as though it's separate and different from your mind. Because until you realize that only mind has the capacity to be creative, you won't be able to get free of believing what you're seeing and changing your mind by being willing to turn around to the altar and say, God, what is this really? What is this thing I call body really? What is this thing I call world and universe really? If it's the effulgence, the manifestation of God being the movement of creation constantly, then you're all in store for the wonderful experience of having it revealed to you as what it really is. If you realize that whatever it might be, whatever dis-ease it might be, is nothing more than a mental distortion that was caused by the adopting of certain ideas and a commitment to those ideas, you will then have the means of being miracle ready, because you won't fight the dis-ease. You'll turn around to God and say, what's the real meaning? And you will ask it with a conscious desire to have your belief replaced with the conscious experience of what it really is, the direct experience of what it really is.
So some of the most basic spiritual practices that we start with, it's like witnessing our thoughts. Stepping back and actually watching the thoughts traverse our mind without identifying with them. There are all kind of symbols about this. It's like watching the waves in an ocean, but you're the ocean. Watching the clouds in the sky, but you're the sky itself. So there are very preliminary steps where we start to disidentify with thought, not because we say I'm not that, but just because we watch it. And we start to get a little distance from the thoughts, so we don't believe every thought that comes through our consciousness. I mean, the thing is, each of you right now could have a thought that says, I'm a frog. Well, you wouldn't believe that. But you have the one that says, I'm unworthy. Oh, that one's cherished. I believe that one. Or I'm not good enough. I believe that one. Or this person's going to do me wrong. I believe that one. So we begin our practice by stepping back and being willing to remove belief or attachment from all thought. And if you do that with some vigilance, pretty soon you'll recognize, wow, I can watch all kinds of thoughts go through my consciousness. And I can see ones that I want to not like, and I can see ones that I like. But what faculty is it that can watch them and choose to identify with them or not? What faculty is that within consciousness or mind that's not the thinker? We're misperceived. We think we're the thinker, or we think we're the program running on the computer, rather than this infinite spaciousness that can kind of watch. So you start doing that with thought, and then you begin to do it with sensation in the body. Whether there's pleasure or pain present, you can witness it and go, look at that. There's pain present. Can I be here present with it and just allow it to be as it is? And you cultivate that practice for a while, and then you come to realize the witness is never upset. The witness is never disturbed by any of the thoughts that go through it. It's just like the computer can run a game that's murder, death, kill on it, and it doesn't hurt the computer. Or the computer can run a game that sends out emails of love and joy. Again, the computer is not really affected. So we begin this practice of stepping back from the self-identity that we've created that says we're a thinker. And when you start to do that, spiritual illumination kind of starts to show up in your consciousness. At first, we start with, I want to change negative thoughts to positive ones. Great. But at some point, it's going to dawn on you that there's something present that's not the thinker. And it's always present. It has to precede thought. Any of you right now can watch a thought go up in your consciousness. Well, something in consciousness or mind is present before that even happens. So there's a perfectly peaceful presence there, and then this thought comes. And your choice is to identify with the peaceful presence or the computer that's never affected, or you can jump on the thought and say, that's what I am. So at some point, one of the big awakenings we have is that, oh my gosh, my experience is the result of my identification with the thinking that happens in my mind. So we back up into this witness. But then you'll kind of notice that even the witness has some judgments about it. Even the witness is like, ooh, I like that thought and not that thought. And you recognize, wow, that's not really pure. That still seems to be mixed up in this whole thinking game. And then you take one more step back.
You are that conscious awareness in which the conscious experience of body and chair and building and world and universe are going on. You are unlimited conscious awareness. There is no available experience of boundary to you as conscious awareness. If I were to appear in form, you would make stronger the identification with body, and this would inhibit your making that willing shift from body identification to mind or awareness identification.
So this is really what happens as we awaken. Our identity begins to shift from body-mind to spirit, awareness, God consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the computer versus the program. And that begins to accelerate the more and more we rest back in. If you got to get up, go ahead. It's all right. We begin to rest back in to what's true all the time. There is a presence that has been present with you, even if you just want to think, my totality of my existence is this lifetime. There was a presence that has been present as you since the very birth, has it not? But we've defined that presence by what we've thought, what we've done, how we've labeled it, how we've defined it. We've not simply rested in the I am that presence is and is all the time. So what he's describing is you're this conscious awareness in which all of creation is arising. All of it. Not just your experience of it, but all of it. When you look at a photograph of the universe, or you go out on a beautiful night like tonight and you look up at the stars, where are you experiencing that? You're experiencing it in conscious awareness. You're conscious and aware of what's present. But we misperceive that I'm experiencing it as this little tiny body down here on this little tiny world looking out at almost infinite space. Rather than recognizing I can only be having this experience if it's arising within me. Because you really can't have an experience that's outside of you unless you're misidentified with the body-mind and you think, something's happening on the other side of town or the other side of the world or the other side of the universe. Again, if you look at the computer simulation as the model, the computer can run a program of all the cosmos, star maps, all kinds of things, or it can run one of tiny molecular matter. Both, whether they seem to be infinitely big or infinitely tiny, are happening in the same place. They're still happening on that computer if you want to think of them as programs, or they're happening in the infinite field of conscious awareness. And each of us don't have a separate infinite field of conscious awareness. We share one field. And it's all that is. And within it, infinite possibilities, infinite choices, infinite realms arise. And it's present as all that is all the time. Always has been, always will be. So, as long as we believe, as long as I to us means body, we're trapped. We believe we're limited. We believe I can only experience what arises within the 5 physical senses. But when you begin to identify with mind, as he was talking in, you're no longer bound at all. You can simply move your awareness from here, he talked about the moon, or to Mars, or to the other side of the cosmos. When you really get that that's what you are and that there's nothing outside of you. It's an incredible inner exploration of the cosmos. It's absolutely mind-blowingly fascinating. But we've ran this little program on our computer and in our mind so much that we think, I'm limited. I'm this body and I can only experience what's physically happening to me or what I see on TV or what I see on a movie. We make ourselves incredibly tiny because we're misidentified with who we are. That we are not one with and as the mind of God. When Yeshua said, I and the Father are one, that's what he meant. The Father's the creator of this infinite consciousness. How that happens, none of us will know. But he knew that's what he was, not the body. That's why he allowed it to be crucified. He didn't experience any suffering because that's not what he was. That's not what I meant to him. I meant this infinite field of consciousness. and it's true for every one of us, and it's always been true, and you cannot ever get away from it. Have any of you ever been unconscious? But you wake up and you go, I was unconscious. Something was still present knowing you were unconscious. When you sleep, you get up and you go, I slept. Awareness is still present even when you think you're not conscious. What do you think's watching all those dreams at night? It's always present. It's present right here. It's really the only thing that is consistently present as itself all the time.
The peace of God is shining in me now. Why wait for heaven? Those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes. The light is in them now. Enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all. Light is not of the world, yet you who bear the light in you are alien here as well. The light came with you from your native home and stayed with you because it is your own. It is the only thing you bring with you from Him who is your source. It shines in you because it lights your home and leads you back to where it came from, and you are at home. This light cannot be lost. But why wait to find it in the future, or believe it has been lost already, or was never there? It can so easily be looked upon that arguments which prove it is not there become ridiculous. Who can deny the presence of what he beholds in him? It is not difficult to look within, for there all vision starts. There is no sight, be it of dreams or from a truer source, that is not but the shadow of the seen through inward vision. There perception starts, and there it ends. It has no source but this. The peace of God is shining in you now, and from your heart extends around the world.
So one of the jokes on the spiritual path is this: I'm getting home, I'm waking up, sometime in the future, sometime in the future, sometime in the future. All of that is simply denying what's been true all along. We may not have been consciously aware of it, but that doesn't make it not true. Every single one of us would say, I am. Would we not? Anyone here not say, I am? But we argue that we're everything that we put after our am, called our little tiny story or our little program that we're running in the infinite mind of God, rather than simply resting into a presence, a silence, a stillness that is always there. If God wasn't present, nothing could seem to be happening. And it's always true. So this whole business about waiting for it in the future is just a denial. And the ironic thing is, you're using the light of consciousness, you're using metaphorically the computer to run a program that says, I'm not awake now, or the light is not present now, or the source is not present now. That even proves that the source is present, because we use it to source an experience of limitation. I mean, that's the cosmic joke of the whole thing. And it really does get pretty funny when you truly wake up to it. So the peace of God is shining in every one of us right now. We're free to be identified with that infinite conscious awareness, or we're free to be identified with all the things that seem to arise in it, like the world, like our body, like our memories, like our thoughts, like our judgments, like our fears. There's so much energy that goes into trying to fix the ego or the thinking mind, rather than just taking 2 steps back in consciousness and simply resting. Resting. Come and I will give you rest. That's what all that symbology means. And it's not come in the future, it's come now. Not later, but absolutely right here and now. The one on the right first, Cindy.
The gift of God to you is heaven, and heaven is the power of choice. You have never succeeded in losing this, because you cannot lose what God has given you by sharing all of Himself as you.
We'll stop there for a minute. So, the kingdom of heaven is the choice. Has anyone here ever not been at choice? Is it possible to lose your choice? Even if your civil liberties are taken away and you're in jail, you still have a choice. Am I going to be pissed off about this, or am I going to be happy about it? So we always have choice. That's the kingdom of heaven. That is a function within the infinite mind of God, and from that simple choice stems all the experience you could ever have. And you're free to have body-mind experiences. You're free to have experiences as planets, or as plants, or as animals, or whatever you want to have across infinite possibilities. And every bit of it is A-OK. None of it is ever judged. But we have used the power of choice and given all that power to say, I am this, and I stop at the edge of my skin. Maybe if you're kind of spiritual, you'll say, hey, I've got an aura that goes out a little ways. But we so desperately defend our smallness that that's the extent of what we are. And the ironic thing is, we're using the kingdom of heaven, the power of that choice, to create that self-limiting experience. But we're free to abandon that choice and choose to wake up to the infinite truth which is always present and be at rest and at peace. And that's the only thing that has ever gone on in creation. It's the only thing that will ever go on in creation. There's no one here who didn't choose to incarnate in this experience. You can't nobody forces you. Nobody's seemingly in some other realm of heaven with a metaphorical spirit gun going, you have to go. Every one of us chose it. We're infinite beings exploring infinite experiences across eternity. Because we can. And I think it's the coolest thing ever. When you truly get this, when you truly experience it, you will fall to your knees in such deep, deep humility and gratitude for the infinite freedom that God provides, that we are free to run any program on the computer up to and including, I am the one with the computer itself. I am absolutely eternal and unlimited, and all of creation arises within me. Whew, isn't that cool? Go ahead with the one on the right or left.
There is a choice you have to make in everything you do. So keep in mind that in the end, the choice you make makes you.
There's a beautiful line I've heard. You can't see past a choice you're not willing to make. So if you're not willing to make the choice that I and the Father are one, you can't begin to see what the truth of that is. You are bound and determined to experience that the extent of you is this body-mind. But the body-mind says, wait. I want the preview of what would happen if I made that choice before I make it. Because it's so deeply rooted in fear. I want to know what the truth is, what it looks like, what my experience will be before I make the choice. And that's not the way creation works. Creation is the effect of choice. So the choice has to be made first. And when you begin to allow the thoughts and the beingness, I and the Father are one, everything that you believe to be contrary is going to show up in your consciousness. And it's going to protest, no, you're not one with God. You're this tiny, wimpy little body who did all these horrible things in the past, and you're not worthy, and blah, 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 blah. You're free to continue to identify with that stuff or continue to effectively rewrite the program, I and the Father are one, and continue to rest back into infinite consciousness awareness. Now, when you do this, you'll let everything be as it is because there won't be any need for it to be any different. Because it already is that way now. God's not objecting to it. We don't like that very much when we're egos. We want God to be pissed off at what's happening on this planet. Because we want God to think like we do instead of thinking, these are my children, I give them their infinite inheritance, I give them my fullness of my infinite being, and let them create within it whatever experience they want. They can run whatever program they want on my infinite computer. And none are rejected. Absolutely none. If that were the case, then all that is would be a whole lot less than all that is. So we all effectively said, well, let's see what it's like to not be God. I did it. I did it good, too. Behold, I played ego hard, deep, fast, guilty, the whole bit. It never took away my ability to choose, and the truth that's true always never left. One of the most powerful things Yeshua did when I was walking my pathway was he corrected that on the cross, it's quoted that he said, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? He corrected that in my consciousness. The truth is, Father, you have never forsaken me. That's what he said, but the people there were so stunned and just felt like God's letting this happen, so that they just thought he's delirious, and they wrote it down as, why has God forsaken me? God has never forsaken anyone for any reason and never will. Nothing you've ever done has removed conscious awareness from your presence. Nothing you could ever do has removed it. When you were really nice, you didn't get more of it. When you were really naughty, you didn't get less of it. It's all given all the time, infinitely. And it's present right here, right now. So the choices you make you. And look at all the self-referencing that happens within your thoughts. What's the origin of those self-referencing thoughts? They're going to come back and they're going to have this meat suit as their origin. That's why your mind gets so still and so peaceful, because there's nothing to self-reference about fear. There's nothing to self-reference about need when you recognize the truth of what you really are. That's why it's the peace that passes all understanding, because everyone who thinks they're this will never understand it. But it's true nonetheless. So, are you willing to make choices that seem to be way beyond what you would say is true about you? If not, you're binding yourself to the little idea of what you think truth is. And we trick ourselves and think we can do that until the body dies, and then we'll get the golden ticket and we'll get to see what the truth is. You just get to go right back on the bus to come back, because you wake up in life, not after life. But one more good, cool, short thing here from Yeshua through Paul Tuttle.
When you discover that what you thought you had done in your independence from the Father, you never did succeed in doing, and therefore you're not guilty of it, you will then become privy to what really was going on all the time that you thought you were successfully distorting it into something else, for which you probably will end up being guilty. So it expunges the material record. In other words, retroactively. It undoes your misperceptions. It undoes the misperceptions which you were committed to that kept you from seeing reality, creation occurring in your past. And what was really occurring becomes immediately available to you, unclouded by the misperceptions that you have held in memory. What dissolves is the misperception. The illusion doesn't dissolve because the illusion never was, quote, physically present, unquote. The only thing that is ever physically present is the energy of spirit identifying perfectly creation as God is being it. That's the only thing that is ever, quote, physically present, unquote. I say it that way so that you might understand that what you're calling physical isn't physical. It's purely spiritual right now. It's purely the energy of spirit, which is the presence of love loving, and identified as that which causes God to be recognizable to himself, and therefore to you. So a material world isn't going to dissolve. The scales are going to fall from your eyes that caused you to see a material world right where the kingdom of heaven was, and filled with the energy of spirit, which is love, identifying the mind of God infinitely and exquisitely and perfectly in identifiable form, meaning identifiable to the mind that formed them, without ever ceasing to be the energy of spirit configured in a way that is recognizable and experienceable. You are mind, and mind has no limits. Mind is, and always has been, boundaryless. That means there can only be one mind, doesn't it? You're not a what, you're a presence. The presence of mind. The presence of that in which all conscious experience is occurring infinitely. The function of mind is to know.
The function of mind is to know. How much of the time do you spend in doubt and confusion? Just because you've plugged a little program into the infinite computer and said, I want to experience doubt and confusion instead of the truth of knowing. So mind, the one mind of God, and each of us would recognize even what you call your mind is capable of way more than what you think right now. You just look in the world, there's some incredibly brilliant minds. There is no limit within mind. Time only exists because it's an idea within this pure awareness, this pure mind of God. So when you begin to recognize you're not the physical, tangible things, and nothing else is physical and tangible, that it's only mind, it is the play and display of consciousness, you will be at rest, because you will know you are all things, all ideas that arise in the mind, in that one mind, whether they're called Joy or John Mark or Gail or whoever. You'll know you are that one, at one with absolutely everything, inseparably, infinitely so. And then peace will come. And that's the only way peace will come, because it's invulnerable. And it always has been, and it always been present. So what happens is we recognize everything that we thought we were doing with our thinking mind was creating I am illusion. I am a body, I am a woman, I am a man, I am smart, I am happy, I am guilty, I'm unworthy, I'm whatever. All of that we were plugging in program after self-improvement program into the computer, all of that is illusion. Absolutely, unequivocally, every bit of it. That doesn't mean you're not experiencing it. I'm by no means saying your experience is illusion. I'm saying all the definitions, values, and beliefs that you attach to it are illusion. When you recognize that you're one with the source, I am that I am. You can't really define it any other way. It's just infinite mind, infinite possibilities. Whether you call it that which can't be named, and of course, again, it's not a computer. That's just a symbol I'm using here to make it, to give the mind something to point in the direction of this truth, because that's all we can do is point to this. You can't define it in any way. It's undefinable. It's undimensionable. But it's absolutely knowable and directly experienceable. So much so that we are all experiencing it right now, although having an incredibly limited experience of it. And it is not a place. People say, well, gosh, if you woke up, you're enlightened. Why are you still here? I'm like, well, there is nowhere else to go. I can't get out of where I am. I can't get out of what I am. I'm everywhere and every when, just like each and every one of you. Heaven is spread across the face of the earth, but we don't see it because we've made a choice to say, I'm not going to see heaven. I'm not going to see the truth. I'm going to see sick bodies, and I'm going to see accidents, and I'm going to see loss, and I'm going to see economics, and I'm going to see GMO crisis, and whatever else we decide to see instead. And because we're so infinitely powerful, collectively we manifest that expression. And then we run around and blame everybody else for it, but it's our collective kind of dream that we're having.
The good news. I simply want to make it clear that shifting from identification with the body to identification with mind does not cause body and world and universe to disappear, but the shift causes you to experience it from an entirely different vantage point. And this vantage point is one in which you recognize yourself in everything. And so you will find that you have not left the body, but that you not only have an experience of being yourself, I was going to say an experience of identity, you not only have the experience of being yourself and recognizing yourself with specific identification, but you have the experience of yourself in and through all things, universally, infinitely. So, you don't escape one little part of the universe into some sort of nebulous void. You keep it and get all the rest as well, including the whole brotherhood, in whom you recognize yourself and feel your oneness with and wholeness with.
Yeah, he's addressing a couple things here, especially if you're a Course in Miracles student that talks about the world as an illusion or the disappearance of the universe. We can get really vested in, we think it's actually going to disappear. The only thing that disappears is that you called it a universe with all kinds of properties and laws and everything else. You will see truly. You will see it what it is. And the mind that you think with says it's either illusion or truth. I'm either the body or I'm infinite void, whatever you call it. The truth is, it's both. You recognize in that moment and you live as the universal I am and an individuated expression of I am. I don't say individual, an individuated expression of I am, and there is absolutely no conflict whatsoever. I think it was Ramana Maharshi that said Brahman is the world is illusion, and then Brahman is the world. Many people say, okay, God is, I'll get that. But if the world is illusion, then that means they don't actually get the third step, that there's only one thing going on. And it's only God, and God is all. So this experience awaits every one of us when we simply stop denying what's been true already. But the denial's okay. It's an expression of our power and infinite possibilities to deny the truth of what we are. No big deal. You haven't hurt the truth. You haven't hurt yourself. And you haven't hurt your big self. You might have hurt your body or created all kinds of emotional distress. That's okay too. That still hasn't changed what the truth is. But you've had some really rich experiences. I mean, just imagine if you're a billionaire and you had all the money you could ever imagine. You could go on one of these new little tourist space rides, everything. But someday a thought rises in your mind. It says, I wonder what it's like to be homeless. That would be absolutely insane to the billionaire, but it keeps asking, what would it be like to be homeless? And all of a sudden the guy goes, well, that's the one experience I've never had. Because I've had all this money, I've had all this security. How could I authentically have an experience of not being wealthy, not being safe, not having abundance. Goes to his doctor, gets a shot of amnesia, forgets that he's a billionaire, finds himself the next morning woke up on a street. And that's all that's happening with any of us. The billionaire's money's still safe. Our inheritance, the truth, is still present. We're just temporarily unaware of it. And why? Why did the billionaire do it? Because he could. Why are we doing this? Because we can. Because we are absolutely limitlessly free, and our Father says, play in my infinite mansions, and we said, all right, let's get on with it. Nothing bad has ever happened. No sin has ever occurred. We have never actually separated ourselves from Source. We're metaphorically laying in our bed in heaven, dreaming this whole thing. So those are some good pebbles to drop in your pond. You're welcome to play with them if you wish or not. I was fortunate that I had an inner guide that was walking me down this pathway. Yeshua was my guide. He knew the way. After I finally figured out I was too dumb to recognize it on my own, I decided to simply take his word for it and let him walk me into remembrance. And once he did, then he said, hey, you mind helping me with some of my friends? There's many more who have chosen to awaken, but our self-deception was so complete, it's not like it just dawns in an instant. When it does dawn, it usually does come in an instant, but nonetheless, that's the cool thing about it. So you're not the program you think you're running. You're not the little thinking mind that thinks it thinks. You're an infinite, vast present which is present with your being right now. And you don't have to do anything to get it. It's always been, quote, well pleased. You can't shake it off even if you try. Yeshua shared with me one time this vision of what happens when people commit suicide and then recognize, oh, I'm still conscious, and what they were trying to get away with, they're still stuck with. You know, it's not like a reset button. It's just I changed the form in which I'm going to experience what I'm experiencing. So nonetheless, it's all okay. There is zero judgment. It's impossible for God to judge. God's just continuing to provide all, like the computer. The computer doesn't say, this is a crappy program. I mean, you recognize it just doesn't even have enough function of doing that. It just runs it. That's unconditional love. And that's what God is. I can play, I want to be Pam. I want to be Benjamin, whatever. We are free, free, free. We're freer than we can imagine free. And is that a good thing? Would anybody have questions or comments tonight?
I have a question. I've heard the last few times you say that this is going to go on forever. And somehow I misperceived that there would be a time when we're all awakened and then we don't do this foolish ego thing anymore. Can you clarify?
Well, sure. From the all awake point, we don't see it as a foolish ego thing. We see it as what a cool idea that was to express. So what's going to go on forever is creation, is infinite experience, not necessarily this dream that we're separate. That will have its end because it had a beginning. But creation will go on forever. But I would look at the perception that this is bad or dumb. Pure awareness doesn't share that. That's one thing you end up letting go of because that's a judgment made by the program, not the computer itself, not God itself, not your limitless Christness, so to speak. And I'm by no means condoning negative or bad or harmful behavior in the world. That's not it at all. But that, even when we do those things, that doesn't affect what we are in truth. You know, Hitler got just as big a welcoming party as Yeshua did because they're the same thing in truth. They may have decided to run very different programs and create very, very different experiences, but the ego, we're just all going to have to accept God doesn't see it the way the ego does. God doesn't judge. It will go, creation will go on forever. This expression of it, no, it will have an end. And I've seen at least the moment when humanity gets it. Yeshua has shown me that. I have no idea when that may happen on the timeline, because there's an infinite number of timelines all running concurrently. It depends on what choices every being makes as to how quickly that expression rushes up the timeline or gets pushed down the timeline. But there's a moment where the tipping point happens and all of humanity gets it in an instant. And because what's happened in the world is the expression of our limited consciousness, and those expressed as like pollution and destruction. All rivers run clean. The sky has colors that you've never seen. Everything is restored to kind of a heavenly state. Like that. Bam. Because it is all just mind. We're not bound by the laws of physics that say clean up or whatever takes time. Because that means nothing to consciousness or mind. Those are all concepts rooted in what seems to be third-dimensional time and space. Cool, huh? Yeah, so the next one may have a whole different seeming set of fundamental rules. Maybe it won't be time, it'll be something else. I have no idea. But we all will collectively choose, as we've all collectively chose to do this. I mean, eternity is not a long time, it's really an absence of time. Time is an experience that's happening within eternity. So nonetheless, there's just a whole lot of fun to have. A whole lot of our inheritance to play with. And that's really all we're doing here.
You used the word individuation. What does that mean?
Okay, I'll repeat it since we don't have the mic tonight. Individuation. Every single one of us is an individuated aspect of the Creator. That doesn't make us independent and individual. We can't actually separate from the source. We're an individuated expression and aspect of the source. Within that, we seem to have this thing called free will, which we get to play with, which is a really cool thing to play with, but we are not individuals. Our sovereignty comes because we are an expression of the one source, the one sovereign Creator. Does that answer the question for you? So that's why when you look upon another, or at least when I do, I see only myself. I don't see other individuals or people. It's all myself in infinite varieties of expression. And that doesn't extend to just people. It's trees, it's pets, it's everything. Everything that arises within that mind of God is what we all are. It's all us. It is just one thing, taking infinite expression. But that doesn't separate it. It never has. And you'll come to see that it's impossible. The real clever thing is how we pulled the self-deception off. That's the miracle, is how we actually perceive that we were other than Source, that we were apart from the Creator. That's why we had to become so identified with this, because this thing does seem very separate. But when you recognize your mind or consciousness, you can't separate that from the source of mind or consciousness. Unless you attach it to a body and say, this is my mind, and by the way, my ideas are better than your ideas. But even that's miraculous. Does that answer it for you, Gail? Cool. Yeah, that's a beautiful analogy. I've used that one before. This one Marion and I really like. We share together. God's like an infinite diamond with an infinite number of facets. The facets can't be removed from the diamond, but the presence of the facets give the diamond incredible uniqueness, incredible variety. Imagine light bouncing within the diamond off all these infinite facets. Do you see how the presence of all these facets give more inner illumination to the diamond itself? I mean, that's the real cool thing. And you know, if you're a facet and you're looking out away from the center of the diamond, you think, I'm it. Because all the other facets are falling away from you. You really can't see there's anything else there. But when you turn within and you stay there, you begin to recognize, you see the illumination of the whole of the diamond. And you are so grateful for every facet, because you see how every facet contributes to the whole of all that is illuminating in infinite, infinite ways. It's really extraordinarily cool. But so long as we think we're this and we keep looking out of the eyes and say there are things out there, that's like being the facet and looking away from the diamond rather than turning and looking within the diamond. And you've all seen how light gets reflected around in a diamond. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that's what we all are. We're all facets of the diamond, so we're the diamond. You can't be apart from it. You are the diamond, but you're an individuated facet of it. An incredibly powerfully unique one, but yet you're the same in property to all the other ones. That's just so cool. You're just so humbled and deeply grateful. Deeply, deeply grateful. We got a bonus tonight. Cindy is going to sing for us. So if you'd like okay, I'm going to have to make a camera adjustment here, so bear with us.
This is a different version of Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that sang its song to me. I once felt lost, but now I'm found. Felt blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my mind to see, and love my fears released. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first could see. Of many dangers, toils, and snares I have already dreamed, but grace has brought me safe thus far, and life's not what it seemed. Yea, though this flesh and heart shall fail, and immortal life shall cease, I do possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. The Father has created me just to His love extend, and now I choose that love to be, and time and space does end. And we've been here 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Woohoo! Thank you, Cindy. I love that facet. And that one, 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 and that one. You know, the ironic thing is, you'll come to love what you hated, because you'll recognize that without that facet, without the one who cuts down the trees, without the one who ran over your dog, your illumination wouldn't be complete. You wouldn't be whole without every aspect enjoying the freedom that the Creator gives us to run whatever little program we want to run. And you will rest in that freedom, and you will honor the freedom that every other being is using. because God's present with them, supporting them in their dream, even while they dream. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay. Because it's all mind. Everything can be undone with a choice. And everything can be redone with a choice. So it's impossible to lose. You've already got and have always been using the one faculty that you will use throughout all eternity to create experience, and that's choice. I would encourage you to begin to use it to move past this little tiny idea of yourself and explore what you are in truth as the whole of the diamond, or as infinite mind, or as the computer we used in this symbol here tonight. Nothing can stop you from that except yourself. Unless you give someone else permission to slow your pathway down, because it's true right now. So it doesn't need to take long, and it certainly doesn't need to be painful. I mean, I just get such a kick out of the spiritual path. Mine wasn't painful. I saw some stuff. I had to own my stuff. But I see some extraordinary suffering within spiritual paths. I mean, just for a moment, look at the insanity of that. It's God's will that we wake up. What God would say you're going to have to suffer along the way? That's nuts. That's just hangovers from our sleeping. That's like groggy eye kind of thing. That's not necessary at all. If you choose to experience it, own it as your choice. But it's not the Creator's will. Love offering. Honey, I may just have you sing the rest of the night for my love offering. If you're willing, this is all that we do for a living, is extend the truth of love. It's all given freely. All of it is done on a donation basis. If you're here physically and you're willing, on the other side of the fireplace is a basket. You're welcome to put a donation in there. If you're watching online, or you'll watch it later, months, years from now, maybe decades, I don't know. Go to onewhowakes.org. In the upper right-hand corner is a give button. You can click that give button and put in a donation on PayPal. If you're interested in being on our mailing list, it's on the home page down at the very bottom. You can put your email address in. If anyone's interested in quickening your journey of remembrance or hasten your instant of remembrance, I enjoy getting together and sitting down with folks. I've been doing this thing called a joint listening session, where I open and help hold with Spirit a channel so that you can hear your own inner guidance more effectively. A couple of folks have come and done it. It's been very, very beautiful and powerful stuff. And it starts to break that hard shell that you had to put around your being in order to have a separate experience. So if you want to do that, let me know. If you're interested in having me come to a plurk shop, that's more play than work. If you want to go to a workshop, there's lots of them that are a lot of work. But we'll do plurk shops. We're going to be in New Hampshire in April. And I got a message from Yeshua while I was in Maui that there's going to be an awful lot of travel coming up for me. So wherever I'm going, I can't wait. When I come to do this work, Yeshua, a whole heavenly host, and you paradoxically come, not just physically. The whole diamond is present everywhere, every when, to do all that is being done in creation. We can't actually get away from it. But I'm eternally grateful to my brother for waking me up to my perfect equality with him, and consequently with each and every one of you. That's the only way that it's true. He's no greater than any of us. I mean, he said as much. The least of these are equal to the greatest. So if you're playing the least of, that means you're using your greatness to play least of. We love you with an absolutely infinite love and a perfect peace. You can't get out of the one mind of God that we all share as one. So enjoy your journey within it. If you choose, up to you. Peace and a joyful good night, and love hugs on the way out.